And it was just so exciting to get the positive feedback around each piece, because a lot of people see me, wow, oh, you're creating all the time, you must be really comfortable in the creative process. No, every single time I step up to the computer to make a piece of music, I go through the same death process every single person goes through, every single artist goes through. People say, oh, it must be so easy for you. No, it's not. I'm always challenged in my creative process. I've just become comfortable in feeling challenged.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment,
a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine,
bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics,
giving you easy and practical solutions.
Guided by
me, Dr. Larissa Sharipova,
and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. On today's episode 51 of Harmonic Alignment, I am in awe. I get to hang out with a guest who recognizes the sacred healing power of music. And I'm so thrilled to introduce our audience to Ben Last, the founder of Temple Step Project. Ben has been making music for nearly 30 years, starting out in bands, and going into DJing, into ecstatic dance, into sound healing. He has taken that full journey as an artist. He's helped produce records for artists. He's even working for Dr. Joe Dispenza, helping raise consciousness with Dr. Joe's powerful meditations and music. Ben is a wise soul who has led a really extraordinary life. He lives in Melbourne, Australia, and what a treat to be able to share his work here on Harmonic Alignment. Be sure to check out templestepproject.com, as well as his music on SoundCloud, on Instagram, on Spotify, and YouTube. You're going to love Ben. Enjoy. Today on Harmonic Alignment, I have the pleasure of being here with Ben Last, the founder and creator of Temple Step Project. It was a beautiful synchronicity. We met at Dr. Joe Dispenza, Go Team Green. So you were one of the first people. I walked in, I was like, who is this light being? I mean, your eyes, you just vibrated on a different frequency. And I was like, this guy's got to have an interesting story. And then to find out you were a musician, I couldn't be more thrilled to talk to you today about your journey. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. And it was such an honor to meet you at the retreat, because I was, in a sense, wanting to find a few different soulmates and people that resonate on sound and people that resonate on the way that sound can transform humanity. And you were one of those people. We sat down and started talking about it, and I was like, you get the thing I get. Yeah, this is great. I got a new friend here.
Absolutely. A soul brother, sister in the world of healing with music. I am so excited because you have been an artist, you've been a DJ, a music producer, a sound healer. You've had this continuing evolution of your own musical journey. How did you first connect with music?
Well, it really all started in relationship to the theme that we're talking about, how music is healing. During the earlier years of my life, the sensitivities that I had as a young boy weren't appreciated by the other boys around me that were more into wanting to be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more tough and a little bit more masculine. And I found myself wanting to connect a little bit more to the more subtle, to the more spiritual frequencies of life. And music really helped me to move out of feeling disempowered, feeling bullied, and feeling controlled by other boys that were wanting kind of more aggressive types behaviors. So I really give thanks to music, because if I didn't find the original source of music, which was playing drum kit and getting into rhythm and finding my power through rhythm, then I would have never have kind of moved out of the depression that I was in as a young boy, being bullied. The rhythm really grew through the growth of moving to playing in bands and learning to collaborate with others. And through the collaboration of music, I found friends that I could trust, that I was really moved by, that we could create music together that lifted our vibration in a way that nothing else could. No school, no girlfriend, no teacher, no aspirate, no guru, no nothing would get us to that same place of playing some really hard rock music in a band in the classroom in high school. And vibrationally, just how that lifted us up was, we were like, wow, can life be that good? Is music that good?
I love that. So you started with more of like the rock on the drums. Like you weren't just, making music, you were feeling the music. It was that kind of experience. Did you have some early
100
influences, some early bands that you were listening to?
100%. I mean, a lot of the early bands from the 60s and the 70s, Led Zeppelin, all the Jimi Hendrix, all the blues and the rock, and then also, moving on to like some of the big rock acts of Australia, like AC/DC, and, all these kind of bands that generated a lot of energy, that generated a lot of passion in people. And I saw that passion in people really opening them up to a sense of empowerment. And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter what the genre is. It doesn't matter what the instrument is. The power of music was being felt, and I was seeing that, and I was seeing that I could play a part in that. And then that later grew into when I was introduced to electronic music culture, rave music culture, and seeing people moving into deep trance states, listening to electronic music, dancing, using substances, and going into out of body, incredible spiritual experiences through connecting to music with dance. That really birthed my DJ and electronic music producer career, because it was like, I wanted to bring in the future. I wanted to drive the frontier of music. It wasn't just enough to look at the past and draw from the blues music artists from the past. I needed to create the newest music so that then we can have the newest frequencies and the newest awakenings to that music.
Oh, I love that you had that insight that you wanted to create something. Is that where you started to kind of pull in consciousness? Were you thinking in terms of consciousness?
Well, I think what's important to understand is that while I was going through these transformations as a young child, from being bullied and disempowered, meeting music, finding that that helped me feel amazing, and then becoming an artist and becoming a creator of music, and really finding that it gave me empowerment. And then I noticed that that provided empowerment, or it moved people around me. And I became addicted to that feeling of like, oh, wow, this is really going to make the vibrational shift that really makes me feel like I have a purpose here on the planet. Now, what was the backdrop to that entire growth period was meditation. I've been meditating since I was 18, and was always learning from teachers and studying spirituality and studying meditation throughout the whole time, because I found that the way to access that kind of empowerment in myself and those around me, while it was to be a musician, it required focus. It required me to learn. And in a world that was challenged, in a world that was busy, in the world that was full of distraction, I needed to learn to focus my mind so that then I could learn. I needed to learn to focus my mind so that I could get my studies done and then have time for music. And I feel that when you're talking about consciousness, the growth of consciousness within myself, or I would say more the capacity to come to stillness within myself and kind of empty myself out, was an essential part of that growth as an artist. Because if you're distracted, you can't make beautiful art. If your mind is busy, you can't bring it into cohesion enough to use your instrument to the point that it becomes beauty, to the point that it becomes what it is that you're looking for from the instrument. And so I was always using meditation and consciousness, just learning from teachers and having many, many different gurus or just teachers along the way that would help me to really come into that place of alignment when it came to music, so that then that feeling of my empowerment and others' empowerment would occur.
Well, Ben, I think you did something that's so powerful, and I think that's so needed for all artists as they struggle to share their music, is quieting the mind so that they can be fully in that artistic process, and that the most dangerous 4 inches on the planet, really, like between our ears. What a struggle for artists. So as an artist starting out, it sounds like the advice you have is the power of trying to clear your mind and get out of those repeating negative thought patterns.
Yeah, looking at how we get to that place with our instrument, whether our instrument is the voice or a guitar or a drum kit or a synthesizer or a computer or a piece of music production software. How is it that we can learn to become a clear channel when we're using that instrument for the intention of why we're a musician, you know? And if we're not practicing that, like we're practicing guitar chords, or like we're practicing scales, or like we're practicing how to use a music production software, we don't have the capacity to bring the two powers together. And I feel that we do all know that flow state, or a sense of just being in union with music, occurs when the mind is empty and still, and the instrument and the body and the mind and the hand can all work together as one, and then that's it. You're in that state that we want to get to when we're performing, or when we're sharing music with others, or whether we're doing sound healing for others, or if we're writing music for clients, is now the majority of the work that I do. I feel that this is what we're looking for, and this is when we listen back to what we've created and go, yeah, yeah, that's it. That's my potential right there. I can hear my potential.
It sounds like you found that transcendent moment where it was coming through you and you were creating and it was fun. You were living in the moment of joy and inspiration. It was happening. But what I think is so difficult is for artists is the comparison, and that we think we
Mm.
need to sell this many records or perform in these venues to be successful. Did you go through that struggle as well?
Yeah, I didn't have the self-comparison to others as strong as others around me. What I did do to deal with that was just get immersed in the art. In other words, just get immersed in the learning about the musical instruments that I played, and tried to just really let go of that comparative mind. And I guess meditation is part of that. And I guess being like just a total crazy student, like just totally immersed in the learning of how to be better at the instruments that I play, helped me to keep that distraction out of the way. And as I grew Temple Step Project, I grew it in a way that, again, that was the majority of my headspace. And it was more like just before I knew it that my Spotify streams were nearly double most of the artists that I thought were twice as good as me. And
Wow.
this is the current case. I look at a lot of artists that I think musically, wow, you're like so much better than what I'm doing. And then I look at their monthly listeners and the amount of people that are actually listening to their music, and I realize, no, 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 no. Somehow through the mystery of stillness and focus and cohesion, learning and applying and hard work, the people are listening to my vibration. You couldn't have a better like impetus to get back in there and keep going. That there's so many people out there that are receiving the medicine of your vibration, of what you're creating. It gives you so much confidence to just go, you know what? I'm going to be even more unique. I don't need to compare myself to others. I can compare myself less and less to others, because what people are listening to is what I'm bringing through. And that's a completely unique vibration that everybody else out there.
I'm so honored to meet an artist saying all these things, because I think I know myself has been the struggle of how do I find that authentic voice that's not, coming from the world of opera, which I always like to say is like putting on a shoe that's two sizes too small and out of fashion. But I was going to do it because that was the measuring stick. The freedom that comes when you just get to create with pure joy and excitement and fun, and not care about what other people think. It sounds like meditation has freed you from that cycle of worrying, is am I good enough, and what will people think, and all the doubts and fears. It seems like that's part of your magic.
In some ways, and I'm still an artist that is observing the internet constantly. It's not like I'm completely free from it. I just recognize what's more important for the bandwidth that I have as a man every single day is just focusing on the art, not focusing on comparison. Because it takes so much bandwidth to make good art. It takes so much time to make great music. There's the vision of what I want to create, and then there's the reality of how much time and effort it takes to create it. And they're like two different things that are pushing and dancing together all the time. And sometimes something comes out really quickly and really easily. Other times it's a very long, 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 arduous haul. And I think that what's also a really important subject to talk about is that over the development of my career and myself as a musician and myself as a human, I've done like two pathways simultaneously. One, I've been producing music for other people for over 20 years, where I've been in service, where I've been working for other people in the creation of their music. And that's been my what I call my stability income. And then my Temple Step project is my hobby. No one tells me what to do in that space. This is my free expression. I've I've earned my money over here. I'm in service to others, and then now I'm in service to myself and my own music. And that has been a difficult path, but the path that I've found that has created stability in my life as an artist, because when we put all our eggs financially in the artist, myself as an artist bag, I see a lot of artists struggling really heavily, even really great artists,
Yeah.
some of the best I know, finding it very hard to make money. And so I'm grateful that I've been able to create a job where I'm able to still be in the studio, still learn the art of creating music, but get paid for it so that then I can actually knock off work and have the freedom and have all the knowledge and have the connection to the art. So I'm not like going out and working some day job that doesn't have anything to do with creating music. I'm still in that flow
Yeah.
state, and I've been learning all day. Where we met was along the pathway of creating music for the wellness industry. And this is my particular skill or particular niche that I've become well known in, is to work with people such as Dr. Joe Dispenza as his music producer. So I'm now fully employed by Dr. Joe to be able to create his music. I'm part of a large team of people that create music with him, but I now do all the audio engineering, all the editing on his voice for the products that you purchase from his website. So it's a real interesting journey, because I never thought that it would get to this point where I would be able to work with people like this. But the journey has unfolded through using meditation and being a student of music to be able to get to this point where it's actually finally coming together for me in my life, where I'm like, wow, I have the capacity to earn money from music. I have the capacity to make the world a better place, because through Dr. Joe and through all the other wellness facilitators that I produce music for, all their audiences are becoming such more happier people.
Right.
You know,
I mean, you're
such
having
more
a
happy
domino
people.
effect all over the planet now. Like what you've touched is healing
Insanely,
people all over the world.
insanely. And to do that and to be able to have an income, and then for that to be able to provide the time and bandwidth to work on my own music, oh, so grateful. The gratitude is overflowing. I couldn't think of a better reality that I could have created.
How did the name Temple Step come to be?
I'm always looking for ways that I can open more deeply and become more one with everything. And along that pathway, plant medicines came along, and different people started to introduce me to certain ceremonies that I was able to actually got invited as a musician to come and play in. These ceremonies were working with a tradition medicine from Peru called ayahuasca, and the ceremonies included musicians that were from all around the world, people from the Middle East, Australia, Africa, France, all these different world musicians. And what I experienced in playing music in these ceremonies was, I guess, a reframe or a re-listening of what music was to me. And I'd kind of been doing a lot of music for the electronic music scene, or the electronic music dance music culture, which I loved, but I also saw that there was this part of the dance music scene where people were using drugs and alcohol to, instead of commune with the music, actually kind of leave themselves and leave their environment in a way that I didn't see that was very helpful or healthy, or wasn't really growing them in ways that I felt was in alignment to myself. And then I came to these ceremonies, and suddenly we're working with these medicines, and suddenly we're working with these plants, and suddenly we're working with prayer and community and intention and meditation in a way that we're sitting on the ground and we're using our musical instruments to create a sonic backdrop for people's spiritual awakening through the work. I was like, oh, this is my new, like, what I hear as the inspiration. But it wasn't just that, because I knew that sitting in plant medicine ceremonies wasn't for everybody. I knew that I needed to take what I'd learned from dance music, dance floor culture, and the ceremonial culture, and bring it together. And that was the beginning of Temple Step Project. Temple Step Project was born of creating a fusion between the ceremony and the dance floor. And a lot of the musicians that I was working with in the ceremony became part of the Temple Step Project. And that's why it says project at the end, because it means that it's not just about me, the artist Temple Step, it's about the collaboration that I do with other people. And that collaborational process has occurred throughout my entire creation. Most of my songs are electronic dance music songs fused with collaborators of different world music or medicine music, sacred culture. And so I'm always looking to bring a way to bring those two together. In other words, to bring the ceremony, to bring the sacredness, but also to move your body and to bring yourself into a state of celebration and joy with those around you, to create a dance floor of incredible, heightened vibrations.
Oh my goodness. I love that collaboration aspect. I mean, it's so much more fun to create something when you have partners in all different places. And thank you for explaining that and showing a way that artists can be together and not in competition. I just want us all to know there's plenty to go around. I know we can all do the same type of music and still have an audience and still be able to make it. There's not a scarcity in creating art, and that's beautiful. If someone is new to the ecstatic dance or the movement, can you explain to them how powerful that can be, or any advice on how they get started? I think certain generations aren't quite comfortable with the idea of moving their body. It feels like a sacred space can be created so that you can feel free and not be judged by dancing. But the two things people are the most scared of in the world, dancing and singing. People are like, nope.
We're born into a culture where we have these locks in our body that repress our movement and our voice, that are essentially this sense of, who am I to be bright? Who am I to be big? Who am I to sing spontaneously in a group of people? Who am I to move like a jaguar, in the sense of people around me, because no one else is facing the fear of being seen or being heard, right? And so the reason I became an ecstatic dance DJ, ecstatic dance is a culture of people that practice exactly what I'm just talking about. They practice the art of getting over themselves. They practice the art of expressing themselves in a way where they're able to move and they're able to sound and they're able to voice, and they recognize that part of their spiritual practice is to get past themselves, get over themselves, so that then they're just in a pure state of expression through dance or through sound, through voicing. It becomes a very clear access to higher frequency states of being, and also just good old mental health practice. Like, we feel great after dancing, we feel great after singing in a choir, we feel great when we sing together as a group of friends, when we do bhajan, when we sing mantras, when we sing just anything, really, when we dance together. I think one of the most beautiful things at the Joe Dispenza retreat was watching people dance together and watching how people give permission to each other to elevate each other up into that heightened state. And it just creates such a beautiful experience in the brain and the body to let go. And I could just see people sitting down in the Joe Dispenza retreat. You could just see them sitting there and they're watching everyone like dancing, and then they're like, ah, whatever, let's just get, and you just see them get out of a chair and just get over themselves. And before you know it, they're jumping up and down and they're recognizing, yeah, you know what? It's time to get over that little block inside myself. Guess what? I'm going to die one day. I may as well celebrate while I live. I may as well just be in full expression. Because what are you going to do? You're going to not be in full expression, and then your life's going to be over. Oh, well, that's it. Bad luck. You had a moment to live and you didn't. Did you live?
No. Did you live a life well led? No. Not if you didn't get up and dance when the moment presented itself.
Exactly. Especially your Joe Dispenza retreat
Can
dancing.
you
It's
give us
like,
the magic of Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat as someone who has now been working in this space? And what was some of your highlights, or what do you tell people when people ask you, what's a Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat like?
well, I think for me, first and foremost, it was a schooling, straight up. Like, sit
Wow.
down, listen, learn, learn some more. You haven't learned enough, keep learning. You know, there was a lot to take in and attempt to wrap my head around. And yeah, it was challenging because, Dr. Joe throws down the knowledge of the mind and the knowledge of matter and reality in such a fluid way that there was many moments when I'm just receiving the teachings of like, is he really going to try to describe the nature of reality to us? I'm like, he is.
He just took
Oh
us
my
into the
God.
matrix.
Yeah. I'm like, he just did it. And like, I'm looking around and I'm there going, I think I got it. And I'm looking around everyone else's face thinking, they got it too. Whoa. And it's so rapid fire, like it's so fast the way that he thinks. And it really invites one to fully step into their student brain. So that was one of the first things that I loved about it, was that sense of being schooled about things that really mattered to me. Like, hey, let's learn about the way your brain works, or let's learn about the nature of reality, or let's learn about quantum physics, let's learn about the quantum field. And so that was one big part of it. But then there's the other part, which is now know nothing, clear your mind, empty yourself, be completely in the void of receptivity of nothing at all. And the fusion between being schooled and then using the meditations that in the way that we did, I found to be incredibly effective because they moved between the different opposites of what we need as human being, which is the capacity to be able to empty and clear ourselves of into the void or into nothingness, versus continuing our growth of what we know and continuing the learning about the science of who we are and neuroscience, the way that our brain and our body works. So for me, I was deeply, deeply moved to be able to receive both of those teachings. And definitely one of the highlights was to be able to head backstage and have a little powwow with him and hang out with him backstage and meet the guy and just receive his gratitude for the work that I'm doing for him, for the music that I've written for him over the last 2.5 years since I've been producing him, and to recognize he's a total homie. He's a total friend. He's just like one of us. He's just totally chilled. No ego at all. Just really, really, really grateful and warm. And one of the funniest moments I had in the whole retreat was like, look, how am I supposed to work for you if I can't even give you a call and have a talk to you sometimes? Give me your phone number. So he said, all right, give me your phone. And it was just this moment of realizing, wow, somehow I've created an alignment to one of the most amazing minds in the world. I've created an alignment where we've become a team because we both know it's not about me or you. It's about what we're doing with everybody. It's about humanity and it's about lifting humanity up. And it's about working together as a team, using music, using meditation, using information. And the feeling of walking out of that retreat, I just couldn't believe it. I was just like,
Well, I'm so glad you said that because he is one of those leaders who's trying to make the planet a better place. He's trying to change
Agreed.
humanity, make the earth a better place. And there's a few of those people, and we just need to do what we can to support that. And you are that part of that movement. And the fact that he's real, he puts on his pants the same way you do. Like we're all one. And I think the gift he's giving people is this isn't rocket science in a way. I mean, he's made it approachable, accessible. I don't care what state of health you're in or what has happened in your life. He's trying to give you a roadmap for freedom. He doesn't use the word God, but it's the divine. It's God. It's your higher power. It's source energy. That we are so much more powerful than we realize, and that there's such a gift in that. We're not victims of anything. And in this society, in the modern day, I mean, everyone is a victim. That's what we're seeing, and that's not what we want. And he's trying to change that narrative, empower people. Sign us all up for all those people. That's the people we want to hang out with, the people who know that the world is a beautiful place and can be even more beautiful.
And create that beautiful world consciously every day with their meditations, with their visualizations, with their music, with their music. And I think that that's one of the most powerful things about music is it's powerful. But to reach that power place requires, for me, a fair bit of discipline, a fair bit of what I call distraction removal, a fair bit of time prioritization, a fair bit of reminding myself continuously, hey, what you're doing right now is a lot less important than creating music. So is what you're doing right now really worth it? And how can I maximize my cycle each day, like my patterning each day of what I do, so that then I'm able to reduce the distractions and increase the time that I'm able to make music, whether that's for Dr. Joe Dispenza or myself. And that for me is like my main goal now is like, how do I do it? Because I know that once I've set the conditions for it to be right, creativity will flow through me. But it's the settings of the conditions that is actually the hardest thing. It's like, we have relationships, we're in marriages, we have to earn money, we have to look after our home, everything has to be right, and yet nothing has to be right also. Music and art can come through during the most disorganized moments of our life. Right?
I was going to say, I'm going to put what you just said on autoplay. I'm going to replay it and replay it and replay it because that is my artist journey is like, oh, I could be making music, but right now I'm doing everything in my life is going to lead me to creating the music. And I need to find that ability to create that space and gratitude and find the joy of creating. Mm-hmm. We all do. Mm-hmm. And if it's not music, it's dance or it's your form of expression.
That's right. It's your form of expression. The world needs it because when we're all expressing it without those, oh, I'm not good enough, or who am I to be big, or who am I to express myself or be free in my expression? As you say, there's enough for everyone to go around. There's no scarcity. Everyone's just in their full expression. And that's the kind of people I want to spend more time with and being around. And those are the kind of people that just say, you know what, let's just make art for art's sake. Let's make music for the sake of writing music. Let's not make music for the sake of career development. Let's not write music for the sake of it being liked by others.
Yes.
What's getting you really excited? And for me, that's like combining sounds, combining frequencies, combining the ancient technologies of sound with the future technologies of sound. That might be a prayer bowl from the Tibetan culture with a scientific binaural pulse that is from the scientific regions. And so bringing things like that together for me is like creating music that is like quantum music, like music that expands over time, that is bringing the future and the past together in a way that it gives you the ability to look into your future, but also remembers your past and remembers all of the sacred traditions of your past that help you to remember, hey, I am also a sacred tradition within myself. I am also a culture within myself, and I can create a genre within myself if I give myself that freedom to create my own unique vibration. And that's, I think, one of the biggest medicines that I could share with with you and your community is like, trust in your unique vibration. Just trust it and remove the distractions around that coming through you or creating that.
I love that. Trust in your own unique vibrations and remove the distractions that are limiting you from getting there. Is there something you're working on right now that's really getting you excited?
There's two things that I'm working on currently. There's a beautiful meditation for Dr. Joe Dispenza called Count Your Blessings, which again, I just love these themes that he works with. I've been working on a piece that is embodying the primal nature of our humanity and using a lot of different instruments from different primal states of being. I'm thinking like, how can I embody the primal nature of sound? So I'm looking at like low frequencies, instruments that like didgeridoos and drums that kind of create a sense of trance state. So I just worked on that yesterday. That was a lot of fun. Sent that over to the team there and they absolutely loved it. And it was just so exciting to get the positive feedback around each piece because a lot of people see me, wow, oh, you're creating all the time. You must be really comfortable in the creative process. No, no, every single time I step up to the computer to make a piece of music, I go through the same death process every single person goes through, every single artist goes through. People say, oh, it must be so easy for you. No, it's not. I'm always challenged in my creative process. I've just become comfortable in feeling challenged. I've just gotten used to feeling challenged in my creative process.
You've gotten
And I think that
comfortable feeling that uncomfortability. Gosh, I love that.
And that's also where meditation comes in. Because when you sit down and your brain's scattered all over the place, it's really uncomfortable. And you're watching it, you're going, oh my God, my monkey brain is just being a total monkey right now, right? I don't have cohesion at all. Like, I'm just not coherent. And then over time, stillness starts to occur and the space, the emptiness starts to be there and the witnessing starts to be there. So it's the same in the creative process. Coming back to what lights me up, in my own music, I've just finished a very challenging piece, which was a piece of music that was bringing the traditions of the Maori people of New Zealand, and they were doing a traditional chant, the haka chant, into a dance music track. So I recorded a traditional haka ceremonialist doing a haka workshop at a festival that I was headlining about a year ago in New Zealand because I loved the sound of the haka. I love the sound of primordial, empowering sounds that move you and rouse you in a way to empower yourself. And I thought, wow, imagine if we had a piece of music that could empower the masculine. And I know that haka is also empowering the feminine as well, because it's not just a masculine thing. Women join in too. But the sound of the haka is particularly kind of almost on the edge of violent. It's so wild and extreme. And so I thought, okay, how can I bring that into a dance music piece? So this one took a long time to write. Sometimes like I'll write a piece of music and it'll happen in like 3 days. And then sometimes some pieces of music take months and months and months. It doesn't mean I'm working on it for months and months and months. It just means that it takes a lot longer for it to come to a state of crystallization where I'm like, okay, that's enough. Like that's good enough for me to call it done. And so yeah, they're the two things that are lighting me up at the moment.
I think you're actually helping others do DJing and ecstatic dance work. You're a coach, you're a teacher as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I've been DJing for conscious dance spaces for probably nearly 20 years. And when I say that, what that means is sharing music for sober dancing experiences. And this particular medium of DJing really came into alignment with my values as a music producer and as a DJ. And so I thought, look, after doing it for so long, I really want to teach other people how to do it so that more of the conscious dance music culture across the world can spread in a higher quality offering. Because I feel that the music, it's just so important when it comes to dance as a practice or dance as a spiritual practice, that if you get the music wrong, you haven't got anything else. You haven't got any drugs or anything else to get you high and be like, oh my God, the vibe's so cool because I'm high. It's like, no, that's just not there. So you've got to get the music right. So I spent a long time learning and creating a method of working how to create an arc of music over an hour and a half or 2 hours, depending on how long your journey is, that starts in a very meditational, like intentional reflective space and moves up through the different BPMs and energy dynamics of dance music until it reaches a cathartic peak of frenzy and out of controlness where you can just vocalize and just yell and scream and then move down into more of a reflection on one's life and all the different characters that we can play when we're wanting to express different parts of our personality. And then that moving down into like a meditation and a sound healing and finishing with a sound healing. So this is like the ecstatic dance arc. That also involves, when you're building the energy, you've got to be able to hook people's attention with, dance music songs that capture and excite them and give them a sense of, okay, this DJ is really worth leaning into. And that's really hard thing to do with a crowd, is to actually get them to lean into you and to trust you with their personal expression or around their journey of getting over themselves and expressing themselves. You have to actually be able to do it well. That is an art of DJing, and it is a type of music, and it is almost, I see it like a type of musical instrument in a way. And so I created an ecstatic dance DJ course, and I have recently just launched it, and it's going really, really well, and a lot of people are buying it, and it's fantastic to see all these young DJs that are coming up, and I'm seeing them. They're now getting gigs all around the world. They're now touring all around the world as ecstatic dance DJs, and it's really working. I'm really seeing that it's actually occurring. So that was a long project for me to create. It took me a year and a half to build the course because I wanted to make sure that it had everything that I knew at the time about the art of it. So yeah, it's been definitely a challenging process to like complete a big body of work, but it's taught me a lot about myself and about getting out of my own way and really like learning to communicate, learning to teach, and learning to share what I know, which sometimes I'm so interested in just being a student. In other words, getting information and getting better at what I do. I forget that I could actually empower other people around me by opening up my mind and sharing my knowledge.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that has to make your heart happy when you find out that other people are out there spreading the joy.
Really is. And seeing people not only spreading their joy, but how that's having an effect on humanity, all the people that are dancing to their sets, and then that grows this conscious dance community across the globe, which is really, really growing. Like 10 years ago, we only had five rhythms, and five rhythms was the biggest kind of sober dance experience, and it had a very structured form. And now ecstatic dance leans more into a non-structured form. In other words, it has a small amount of facilitation, but it's generally just between you and your own expression and getting out of your own way to move into a state of dance. And the thing I loved about it is that it incorporated modern music. It incorporated DJs that were playing the latest music, playing multi-genre music, playing music that it was also multi-emotive, happy, sad, dark, light, playing music that was still and reflective, all the way up to complete catharsis of just like music. You could drop a heavy metal track if you want to. Like you can just have freedom creatively and consider music to be a therapeutic tool, and you can guide people through a journey of transformation as a DJ. I'm like, hell yeah. No wonder I love it so much.
Well, I know you just had a tour in the United States. You're back in Australia. Is there anything scheduled for people to try to find you live?
Absolutely. I'm heading up to the Northern Rivers in Australia, which is a place called Bellingen, which is a beautiful place along the east coast of Australia, where I'm performing at a festival called Love Fest. That's on the 3rd of October. And I'll be performing more of an original music set. So what I do is sometimes I perform an original music set, which is all my own music. And then sometimes I perform an ecstatic dance DJ set, which is like me as a DJ playing other people's music and just a small part of my own music. And the reason ecstatic dance DJs do that is you want to create a diverse journey of BPM, genre, and vibe in the music. And so if you play all your own music, it's like the same song over and over and over. It doesn't really change, and people get genre fatigue or energy fatigue, where it's just the music isn't growing. And then so when I play my own music, I'm able to just lean into what my unique vibration of music is. And I'll be doing that at Love Fest. And then in December, I'm headlining a festival called Transcendence Festival, which again is a festival based on transformation. It's a sober festival, no drugs and alcohol, and that's in Mexico, in Playa del Carmen. And so we'll be heading down to the Playa del Carmen and performing a couple of different times. I'll be presenting a Temple Step Project set and then also be doing a sound healing. So the sound healing work that I do is like a fusion of ancient technologies and future technologies. Instead of using like prayer bowls and didgeridoos and flutes and things like that, I actually use my laptop. I use Ableton Live and I use MIDI controllers that have pre-recorded generated sounds of all the different sound healing textures, including prayer bowls and didgeridoos and binaural beats and solfeggio frequencies and sounds of nature and the sounds of cosmos. And I blend them all together in a real-time montage, connecting to the audience and the environment around me to
Wow.
create a sound journey for people to journey within. So the ecstatic dance is the journey outside and the journey to like in expression, and then the sound healing is like what is occurring within, and how can we use sound as a meditation tool, and how can I bring people into a state of meditation in the moment, but creating the music live rather than it being a pre-recorded kind of thing that we're listening to the way we do normal meditations.
Oh, that's fantastic. Is there anything that I have not covered that you really wanted to share with people around music, dance, healing?
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about AI music actually.
Oh, okay. That's a hot topic and a scary one, I think, for some artists. What do you see happening?
Well, there's definitely, I would have to speak to the part of me that there's some sadness. There's some like fear. There's some like anger.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, you know, I'll speak to those three. Great art doesn't come from people who don't know anything about that art form. It comes from people that commit to learning about an art form to make it great. And the middleman, artificial intelligence, is creating songs by writing a sentence, is removing all of that I just spoke of. The person's journey to learn about the instrument, whether it's their voice or an instrument, or to be in a band or to write a song, it's like that's all being completely mitigated. So
That's
challenging
dark.
to, it's dark. Yeah, it's pretty dark. It's like, what happens to the value? I'm looking at the AI music industry. I'm listening to what's being generated. And no, of course, I don't think it sounds as good as human music yet. Yet. And I
Wow.
do believe that it'll only take probably another couple of years. I mean, I saw it happen with the image generation. It took what, 2 years, 3 years, 3 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Now you can't tell the difference between a photograph and an AI image. And it's like, okay, so probably got a couple of years before that is music as well. There is the way that the streaming platforms and the way that we consume music is now being affected by AI music, which is where my anger comes in.
Mm.
Because what happened from the pre-streaming age to the now streaming age in the music industry was probably the worst financial situation that has ever happened in the industry of music. What that means is that if you can't survive off music, you have to spend the time that you were writing music earning money from other income sources.
Yeah.
So there, guess what? Humanity, well done, Spotify. You get less great music. Well done. Good move. Not.
Yeah.
Not at all. So there's that. And now comes this massive inflood of AI music into the financial pool of all the streaming platforms. I read on the other day, 30,000 AI songs a day are being uploaded
Oh,
to
God.
streaming platforms, right?
No.
Yeah. Because then you just go prompt song upload, prompt song upload, prompt song upload, upload. And so
So
if
never,
we have
this
this,
artist can work 24/7, 7 days a week. I mean, because it's AI, right? There's no eating, sleeping money. You don't have to feed them.
that's right. We had the worst financial situation happened to music, and now it just got a hell of a lot worse because the amount of money, the way that we get paid from streaming services depends on how much music is being streamed. So
Right.
therefore, if a large chunk of it is by people that didn't write the music, a large chunk of the people that did write the music are now getting paid a lot less.
Yeah.
Where that leaves the musician, where that leaves the producer is they know the value of writing music. They know the value of helping someone's day, helping someone's mood, transforming a state of unhappiness into a state of happiness, or even just allowing someone to just cry, or the asset of transforming someone's state with music. They know that. And what we need to have is a radical transformation in the industry. We need to actually remember as humanity what it is about music that we love, and it shouldn't be turned into this commodity that it is. It shouldn't be used in the way that it is to make money. We should be remembering, like, hey, it's a powerful tool. Let's keep it sacred, let's give the musicians and the producers more money rather than
Yeah.
less. Even the people that are running the tech companies that are creating the AI music and leading the whole problem, they too put on a sad song when their girlfriend is having an argument with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They too put on a happy song when they're sad because their mum's unwell, and that helps them feel better. What right do they have to turn that into,
Is
you
the
know,
AI music identified on these platforms? Do you know it's AI generated? Well, see,
no.
that's just wrong. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the part that's even makes it even worse. I mean, we're seeing it already on the videos on the social media. Pretty much every week someone sends me something. I'm like, this is fake, right? Because they can't tell anymore. I want to live in a world where artists are valued and recognized as contributing members of society, because that vibration that you put in is part of the quantum field and we're all one. So how do we create or this earth that we want to live in where we value music and art? What do you think has to change? Is this a consciousness revolution? Is it hearts and minds of humanity and what we value?
We always have this great way of separating ourselves from source.
Mm,
And we want to do it in the most extreme ways. It's like as far removed from source that we can become is that when we remember the value of it.
yeah.
And that could be the only answer that I could give to that question, because that's such a big question,
But there
but a
has to be a
huge.
vibration difference, right? It's not just that the quality of the music, and you said maybe, yes, they can match you someday in quality, but there has to be a frequency and energy behind, because every artist has a vibration. And like you said, people were, creating, you thought, better music than you were creating, but it was your vibration. Like it was your creation that they were attracted to. I mean, we choose that unconsciously for the most part.
Yeah, it's something that I am in observation of. It's something that I'm learning, that I'm not in the full answer for yet, because I'm watching the industry accept this AI music situation, but I'm also seeing a huge revolt online, a huge kickback online of like, we don't want this. We want to know whether we're listening to AI music or non-AI music when we're streaming. We want to know that the artist has worked hard for this music to be listened to and felt into. What we've just discussed is like one side of the whole story. And then in the other side of the story is the growth and evolution of technology.
Mhm.
So while everything I've just said is really, really true, and everything we've just discussed is really true, simultaneously, I'm also looking at ways of incorporating artificial intelligence in my creative process.
Yeah.
Because I could either be like, no, no, not into it all. And there's parts of it that I'm not into, particularly what's going on financially. And then the other part of me is like, if I don't learn and incorporate, then after a period of time, I will be outdated.
Mm.
So what I do is I research and develop the different forms of technology, and I listen to the results and I let my ears tell me, is that something that you really want to incorporate, or not? That's not something I want to incorporate because it sounds way too generic. or in other words, I'm not getting any feeling from
Yeah.
that particular tool. A tool in my world could be a drum, it could be a synthesizer, it could be a piece of music software, it could be a sample library, it could be all of those things combined together. It could be a microphone, it could be any of those things that are part of my creative toolkit that to create music. And for me, learning technologies is a big part of how I can evolve my sound and how I can evolve sound itself. And
Mm.
so it's simultaneously, how do I incorporate without losing quality? How do I learn new technologies without it becoming like I'm not listening anymore? In other words, that it's good enough, that for me is the death of me. Oh, it's good enough. Yeah.
It's good.
You
Yeah.
know, it's good enough. I could just charge a client, like it took me 50 hours to write that song, but actually I just wrote a prompt. But the truth is, I think they're going to say, I don't know, you've lost your edge, Ben. You've lost that
Mm.
quality that you used to have.
I totally get it. So I've tried the AI generated newsletter for harmonic alignment versus the thing that I felt called to write about for the month. And there's an emotional connection that it's not, I hope it never gets there. But then I have actually had AI conversations where I've been in tears and I've laughed and I have been like, holy moly, this is so entertaining. And so I could see that. I mean, because they're talking in that conversation. It's like, she's my best friend and I'm having a good old time.
I'm grateful that we're able to have the conversation of what we disagree about AI, and I'm grateful to have the conversation about what we agree with AI.
Yeah.
Because I think that a modern human in the world needs to have both, needs to
Yeah.
see the positives and negatives in it, just like the positives and negatives with smartphones, positives and negatives in laptops,
Yeah.
positives and negatives in everything. We need to be the one that has the discretion. We need to be the one that walks the middle path through these insanely different forces. And I feel that the more that we do that, people listen and people stay connected to what it is that we're sharing. And this is why I'm so grateful that we've been able to have this conversation. And this is why I brought up the subject, is because the more people are able to talk about it in this middle road path, then I think that people will start to use AI in a way that does improve humanity, that does improve our art, that does make our music better, that does make our words better, and in a way where we're not getting dumber. Like,
Yeah.
let's not get dumber, humanity. Come on.
No.
Let's not, oh, that's good enough. Yeah, it did the work for me. Let's not become that humanity where we rely on it too much. Please, please.
But let's also, know that the really powerful work is going to get done when people come to see Ben live with Temple Step Project or Dr. Joe live. Like in the magic, the transformation is when someone shows up and starts moving to your music. You can get some of that in a recording, but when you're there and your energy and you're creating, that's like the rocket fuel, the magic sauce. I mean, we want authenticity so desperately. We want to connect. Technology is making us disconnected from everything that's, I think, nature, everything that resonates deeply in my heart. We're just getting further and further away. So now maybe we're going to come and create community around being together and creating music and art. It's our medicine. That's what I think you even had a song about human medicine. We need this.
We do need this. And the creators are continuing to forge the path towards the creation of that, for sure. And I'm proud to call myself a creator, and I know that you're a creator also, Priscilla. I see you in a way that have so many gifts for humanity through your voice, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of your music in a way that will be moving me, and maybe even incorporating into some of my ecstatic dance sets one day, or maybe a
I will
collaboration
hold
live one
that
day.
as a magical possibility and we'll connect on that. I would absolutely love that. Ben, if you had a microphone and every soul on the planet could hear from you, what is something you think every soul needs to know at this time?
I say, listen with your heart, bring your mind to stillness so that you can hear everything, you can tune into everything simultaneously and be with that. Remember why you're here. Make time and space to bring that through. And be alive while you are alive. This is a gift of a moment. Continue to smile.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. You not only share your music, but your heart, your wisdom, and your healing presence with me. Thank you so much, Ben. I am honored, and I can't wait to get to connect with you again in person and hear your music live. And hopefully we all are going to get together in person and hear your music live. So we're sending out the
Awesome.
bat signal. We're gathering the
Absolutely.
tribes.
Thanks so much for having me today, Priscilla. I really deeply appreciate it. It's been an absolute honor. And yeah, just wow, super grateful.
Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larissa Sharapova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larissa Sharapova and Priscilla Koblenz and the producers, are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.